Things exist in different forms, states, degrees, layers, and from very heavy to light. That is, there are very few things that we can see with our physical eyes, and most things that we cannot sense with our five senses. Even mainstream human science says this. Let's take a look at a scientific video about the visible and non-visible light spectrum.
The electromagnetic spectrum, an immense scale we use to measure the wavelengths of all kinds of radiation. At one end are radio waves with the longest wavelengths. At the other end are gamma rays with the shortest. In between are the other bands, including visible light, which is such a tiny fraction of the whole, it's difficult to imagine. How small is the visible spectrum? If you had a reel of movie film representing the entire electromagnetic spectrum, stretching 2,500 miles from California to Alaska, the section containing the visible spectrum would fall somewhere in the middle, near the University of Washington.
This frame is the whole visible spectrum. It is one frame in over 2,000 miles of tape, and it's everything that the human eye can see.
These days we're all familiar with night vision cameras, but how do these things work? How is it that you can just turn on this camera and see the invisible? Another use of night vision cameras that you might not be familiar with is their ability to see through smoke and dust. Fire departments commonly use cameras like these to find people trapped in smoky rooms, or to pinpoint the exact location of forest fires through clouds of smoke. So how do these things actually work? What are we really seeing when we look inside a night vision camera? Well, it may surprise you to learn that everything in the universe emits some kind of light. It's just not the kind of light we're used to thinking about. The sun, for example, our star, emits visible light. That's why our eyes evolved to detect that kind of light. But that's not the whole story. I'm sure you're familiar with all the different kinds of visible light, all the colors from violet to red. But there are actually lots of other kinds of light that our eyes aren't sensitive to. The reason all the colors of light are different is that they have different energies. And what you see here is that the light has different wavelengths. The blue light, for example, has a higher energy, so it has a shorter wavelength. The red light, on the other hand, has less energy, so it has a longer wavelength.
Mainstream human science says that atoms have no solidity. That means that things are not really physical. It is our perception and our very observation that makes them temporarily so. Remember that because nothing is really physical, it is possible for things to flow through each other. This is the reason why condensation is possible. Hence, water can seep through a physical object such as a glass because the glass is not really physical to begin with. Take a look at the following video clip. What does all this mean? It means that because of our limited perception caused by our limited access to our DNA and our global infinite memory bank that goes beyond time and space, we see and perceive only a minute, a very tiny part of the totality of what exists. We don't even see, feel, touch, or smell 1% of what is. But we can become aware of quite a lot if we stop being in denial and look at the truth within science, culture, and religion. We must not throw out the baby with the bathwater. This is the physical dimension. Do you hear that? It's physical, meaning hard, tough, solid, and tangible. Not everything that exists in such a state. Repeat that. Not everything that exists in such a state. Some things are not physical. They are so light that if you are not careful, you will think that you are your physical body. You are not your brain, mind, religion, race, or culture, or even your experience. There is a light inside your body and around you. Again, it is so light that if you are not careful, you will think you are your physical self, and you will create limited and often false identities about yourself. Because you are a being of light, you absolutely live forever without permission. Without permission. How you exist if you are dishing out negative energy is something else. From a grander or a more expansive perception, ultimate power and total physical and spiritual protection comes from unconditional love. It is better than physical sex or any imaginable human and or ET experience. This too is absolute, not debatable. You are a being of light, and this is an absolute fact, not a philosophy, a particular way of thinking, or a religion. It is a waste of time to debate this. Punto final. Good luck on your journey on the planet. Your success is my success. Check out my books on Amazon.com.